Hello, welcome to Sheffield Board Gamers Podcast. My name is Rick, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. We've got Sam Stringer on. Hello, Sam.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hi, thank you for coming on. It's good to talk to you again.
Good to be back.
We are on episode 67. So Sam and myself are going to talk about some of the board games that we've been playing recently. We've also got a question of the month, which is, what games do you play solo? So it'll be interesting to talk to Sam about that. But before that, we've got, I don't know if you've seen this, but the biggest video games convention in the world has opened, which is Gamescom 2025. 357,000 people attended. But I guess biggest in the world means you're going to have people visiting from all over the world to go and visit them on. Just for context, UK Games Expo this year was 42,000.
I mean, I think Essen's certainly bigger than that, but I'm not sure if it's quite as big as that video game expo.
Probably. So that got me thinking. UK Games Expo is held at the NEC Birmingham, so I thought we could play a little game while you're on. So I've got some events here that are being held at NEC Birmingham. I want you to guess what you think the attendance is for these events. Okay, is it higher or lower than 42,000 for the UK Games Expo?
Yeah.
You up for that?
I'll give it a go.
So, Spring Fair 2025. So that's about homes, gifts, gardening, fashion. What do you think the attendance was for the Spring Fair 2025?
Oh, 20,000.
34.
Okay. I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
It's smaller.
Not a bad guess, yeah. Okay, Gravity Show. So you're probably going to guess what Gravity is. It's supercars. So this is like a supercar show with enthusiasts going to see like the latest models and prototypes and things like that.
So they're quite popular in general, but I don't know how many people are going to shows. I'm going to say 25,000.
Ooh, close again. 30 for that one. 30,000. Okay. This is a bit of a curveball. Okay. Workplace event, it's called. HR, facilities management, training, and workshops. How many people do you think went to the workplace event?
Yeah, I think this is an odd work convention, but for the people who would get to sign off the travel to go to conventions. So I think it'll be quite popular, but surely less popular than supercars. So let's say 10,000.
Oh, close again. 7,564. So you're only 2,500 out of that one.
I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Right, one more then. One more. Creative Craft Show. So this is fabrics, wool, creative work, things like that.
Yeah, I mean this is some really popular stuff. I mean, there's lots of creative craft at UKG, of course.
Yeah.
If there's anyone here that's going to be bigger than UKG, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say 45,000.
Yeah, 60,000. Yeah, you're right in the right direction there. Yeah, 60,000. Yeah.
That's really big, isn't it?
Yeah, UK Games Expo, it kind of lands in the middle. There's some that are lower, but then some that are slightly higher. So it's but
it's still growing, isn't it? So
it gets bigger every year. Yeah, and I know some people at work who go to obviously the comic cons, like the local comic conventions and things like that. There's quite a few of those. Lego is a big one. I know a few people go to the Lego shows and stuff.
That's been really growing, and surely a big overlap with the board gaming community there as well.
Yeah. So that's that's those. So you've been up to anything this month?
So this month, actually, back in July was the last time I went to a sort of formal convention, which was Manacon, which was at Leicester University this year. Which is it's one of the longest running board game conventions in the UK. It's great. It's my favourite type of convention in that you just turn up and play board games, and there's no faff and hassle and no long queues for shows and stands and sales and things like that. You're just there to play board games. But that was back in July. In August, the only convention I've been to is my own, because I ran a sort of a mini con at my house, which Rick was at, of course, which is great to have you there, Rick.
Yeah. Okay.
Along with Samuel, who's often on this show as well. And yeah, that was excellent. Just sort of 3 days of playing board games, which was pretty exhausting by the end of it, but really, really good fun. So yeah, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah,
and
it was really good.
later in the month, I've been playing a lot of family games as well. So all sorts going
All
on.
right. Yeah, I've been keeping busy then by the sounds of it.
Yeah, there was a discussion at dinner tonight of when the last day was that I didn't play a board game, and we weren't
Right.
sure, but it may have been a while
Right. That you haven't played.
that I haven't played a board
Yeah.
game for a
Yeah.
whole day. Yeah.
It's a good position to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky to have a couple of good friends locally that I game with quite a
Yeah.
bit. But
Yeah.
it has also, our topic tonight was partly my suggestion, and that has also been one of the things that's buoyed me up, which is some solo gaming as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear about that. But before we go into that, shall we have a chat about some of the games we've been playing recently?
Yep.
So my first one is a game that we played together. This is called Samurai.
Yeah.
Rainer Knizia, 1998, 2 to 4 players. A classic Knizia, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolute classic.
Ultra streamlined, fairly short, a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be, like half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that to play it. I think we played it 3-player, didn't we? But,
yeah.
So basically, you've got a map of Japan, of the Japanese islands, divided up into hexes, and each player gets a set of tiles which have different strengths on it. So it's a number from 1 to 4, I think it is. And then there's different types as well. So basically, all you're doing is just playing a tile from your hand onto the board, and then drawing up from the stack of randomly shuffled tiles that each player's got. So you've got a little shield that you can sort of hide your tiles behind. On the board, there are 3 types of, what would you say? These are things that you're kind of competing over, isn't it?
They're called castes. Caste styles represent sort of different sort of clans in ancient Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tiles that you're playing down, you're basically trying to get the highest number in total of tiles around that actual position on the board. And some of the locations, some of the hexes, but up to maybe 2, maybe 3 of these positions as well. So you could be fighting for control over several different places at once. There's a couple of special tiles as well. So there's like a fast one, isn't there, where you can play a tile and then immediately play another one after it. There's one that lets you move things on the board. So you swap a couple of things over. So previously, if you'd put a tile down next to a pagoda or something, you can swap that pagoda out for something else and swap something on the board, which makes it a little bit tricky. Not much randomness in this. The randomness is kind of each player's tiles that are shuffled. There's no cards or anything sort of hidden in bags or anything.
You do get to select your starting hand as well, which means that actually the randomness is really quite mitigated by that, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the bit you might need to help me out on. At the end of the game, you kind of count up how much of each of the 3 things that you've collected, and then you compare it to the other players.
And it's a classic. It's a real classic Knizia in that, and I got this out on the table and did a quick teach, and it's just no problem doing that.
Yeah.
And you've gone basically through almost all of the rules already, but with classic Knizia, the scoring is a really interesting part of the rules and the most complicated part to teach.
Yeah.
There are 3 castes, aren't there, that you can have majority in.
Yeah.
If any one player has a majority in both, they'll automatically win. If any one player has a majority in one and no one has a majority in the others, then the person who's got the majority has won. But if you're drawing on majorities, and in a 3-player game you could each have a majority in one of them, then you look at the things of the type that you're not winning in, and you count who's got the most of those. So the most of the ones that you didn't get the majority in.
That's it.
And only if you're drawing on them do you then also count the ones that you did get the majority in. So that's about the most complicated part of the game, but it does make it quite an interesting puzzle to work out what things you even want to be winning.
Yeah. I really enjoy playing this. It's a nice, a really tight game in that you can basically put your tile next to any sort of position on the board, but you can't kind of spread out too much because then you're going to kind of lose out on the areas where people are competing. So a lot of the positions that you're placing your tiles in are determined by the other players and what they're trying to do and what they're after. Sometimes you know that you're not going to win, so are you better off using one of your special tiles, or do you start somewhere else and try and pick up something else, or do you continue and try and get one of the locations that are next to it, one of the casts that are next to it instead, which is quite possible if you because they are quite close to each other on this kind of small hex map, aren't they? So it's got that classic kind of thinkiness that's not just designed, but you're not just playing the game, you're playing the other people as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, really,
kind of,
really classic, really classic Euro in just how head to head it is.
Yeah.
There's no engine building there. You're just it's sort of a war game by other means, really.
Yeah. It's had a few printings. Like I say, it's quite an old game, 1998. So it's had a few reprints over the years, and I don't think it's in print at the moment, but I think it's probably readily available. You can probably pick up a second-hand copy somewhere.
Well, it's been like absolute hen's teeth. It's been impossible to get hold of a copy, and I played it a while back, and actually last time it was in print, I bought a copy for a friend, the same version I've got now, a Fantasy Flight version of it. I bought a copy for a friend and has sort of almost regretted it since because they've moved away and I've not had a chance to play with them. Right. But actually, I picked this copy up secondhand at ManaCon. It's still hard to get a copy, but I suspect the reason they might have been letting it go, and that more people have been recently, is that there's actually a Kickstarter, which I think is still live for a re-implementation of it called Hanami. And so just some new artists and a new publisher, still obviously Rainer Knizia. I think there might be a couple of minor tweaks to the new copy, but essentially it just takes the game. It keeps it in Japan, but it keeps it with sort of a modern theme with flowers and sort of non-combative. And I think that there's quite a movement in the hobby at the moment, isn't there, to make themes which are less about combat and are sort of more inclusive and so on, and often nature-based. So I'm not shocked to see that they're doing that. And it looks quite nice. And actually, I did take a look at it. I've got no real interest in it myself, having a copy of Samurai, but as Kickstarters go, it seemed to be surprisingly reasonable in terms of sort of price and getting a copy into the UK overall.
Yep. So that's one game that we played. That was Samurai. So what have you been playing recently?
Well, I thought I'd start by mentioning, of all the games I was thinking of mentioning today, the only one I've not played solo, which is Sankore. This is by Mandela FG and Fabio Lopiano. Art by the little known, you probably haven't heard of him, Ian O'Toole. And it's by Osprey Games. And I think this was last year. This came out. I think it's a really excellent example of a heavy Euro. And it's part of a 3-game series. The third one, I forget the name, is coming out later this year. I think it's an SM release, possibly next year. The first one was Merv. I don't know if you've played that. I did previously have a copy and play it at Sheffield's Board Games Club once or twice. That was a really classic point salad game. I mean, just every action you're taking, it's just a case of, well, this gets me 5 points and that one gets me 6 and that one gets me 7. Okay, I'll do that one. And Sankore is a really interesting sort of heavy Euro design in that it's almost a point salad. It should be a point salad. There's sort of 4 different areas of the board that you're playing in, and they represent schools of the University of Sankore. So law and religion, astronomy and maths. And you're recruiting people from each one, sending them to classes and taking actions in those areas, which sort of advance you on various tracks and get you certain bonuses and so on. And it really looks like it should be a point salad, and you're making point salad decisions. But the scoring on it is actually incredibly tight. And when you pay for certain actions, the more advanced actions, you pay with books, and they're lovely wooden books. That you pay with. And when you pay those books, you put them onto the bookshelf. And at the end of the game, the scoring is based on the majorities of books in the different rows on that bookshelf. So it's just those decisions around the advanced actions that determine what is actually worth points at the end of the game. So it takes what sort of should be a point salad design almost, turns it on its head, and is really clever. And the interesting thing was, in some of the reviews of it, people really criticized it for this and sort of clearly wanted a point salad. and I couldn't get their head around the scoring being, I just think, really, really innovative and really interesting. So that's lovely. And actually, the first time I played that was at Manacon, and the teach was done by Mandela, who's one of the designers, co-designed it with Fabio Logano.
Yeah.
Which was wonderful. And so he really infused it for us with the theme, which is it's about the sort of University of Sankore, which is one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in the world, certainly for its time, and was established by Mansa Musa, who was described as the richest man ever to have lived.
Right.
It's Sankore is in Timbuktu, which we sort of know now for being in the middle of nowhere. But at the time, it was in the middle of gold mines and the salt trade, and became a huge centre of knowledge. So really interesting history, and great to see the designer's sort of passion for the theme as well, which for us, I think, probably helped make it feel like a really thematic Euro.
Yeah. I think sometimes, especially with these bigger games, the theme kind of gets lost a little bit in the mechanisms of it and the things that you're doing. But it's good to have a bit of theme there that helps with the storytelling of it. But learning it from the designer, that must be a bonus as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, sometimes viewers, you have to sort of go looking for the theme and working out why something is thematic a bit more. But sometimes if you put that in, you can sort of find it.
Yeah. So is that a longer game then? How long do you think it takes to play that one?
Yeah, it's a full length heavy Euro. It shouldn't take more than a couple of hours. But you shouldn't probably play with more than 3 players either, because then it will take more than a couple of hours potentially. Yeah.
And I'm just looking at BGG here. It's got a dedicated solo mode.
It has, and as I said, Rick, this is, of all the games I was talking about tonight, this is the only one I haven't soloed yet. So I do plan on it, and I'm looking forward to giving that a try.
Yeah,
but yeah. I don't mind saying, one of the barriers to sort of solo is that question. Okay, I've learned the game, I know the game, and in this case, I've played Sankore a few times now. How much more learning do I have to do to learn how to play it solo?
Yeah.
And for games, this is one that it's got a fair bit of complexity in running the automa, the bot, and that I will confess has meant that I've picked up some things that it's easier to get into solo. But I do plan on soloing Sankore as well.
And the publisher Osprey Games, they've released loads of great games recently as well. They've got loads. They're really good. I think anytime they release something, it's usually something I'd be interested in. Very good. Okay, so my next one is another Reiner Knizia game, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about this one because it kind of compares and contrasts with Samurai. It's a very similar sort of tile laying game. This one's called Blue Lagoon from 2018, so it's 20 years older than Samurai. Blue Lagoon's another one where you have some islands and you have hexes on there, and you're laying down tiles to sort of get points and collect things off the map. So at the start of the game, the map's populated with some tokens, which are sort of what you're trying to collect. And similar to Samurai, it's sets. You're trying to compete for sets of these items. So you get points for a set, and also you get points if you got more than other people. The difference with this one is, though, that your tokens that you're placing, they're all the same. You don't get the hand of tokens and that are sort of shuffled up. You just get a set number of tokens, which are all the same. So when you first put a tile down on the board, you can put it down anywhere. But then any tiles that you place after that have to be adjacent to the tile that you've already placed. So that's slightly different. And what ends up happening is you kind of get trails of tokens spreading out on the board because people are kind of trying to move from this starting point to collect these items or sort of populated on the board. You can also put down a hut, which is like a little wooden kind of hut-shaped piece. And the reason that you want to put huts down is that halfway through the game, all of the tokens come off the board. So it does that popular thing in, what's the other one that Reiner Knizia does? Yellow Yangtze and the other one where it kind of clears the board and then you start again, but your huts remain where they are. So in the first part of the game, you can only start from this one spot. on the second half of the game, you can start from one of your huts and you kind of expand out from there. So the board gets repopulated with these tokens again, and then you start putting tokens down to try and collect tokens again. So a very similar sort of process, but slightly different. Another twist on that kind of game. Again, really streamlined, like half an hour, 40 minutes to play. Maybe simplifies the scoring a little bit at the end. So for this one, it's like sets of tokens, and whoever has the most, you get points for that. But again, really streamlined, really sort of the decision again is kind of based on what other people are doing and being able to cut off other people. And am I going? I'm in a race to try and get to this token before this person. Am I going to get there, or do I want to try something else? The huts where you put the huts are quite important because that's where you start from on the second part of the game. So you spread out from the huts. So again, you can sort of place them near other players, and then you'll be competing to pick up these tokens in that area. Oh, there's another scoring bit as well where you've got presence on the board. So the islands that you're sort of connecting together, you get points for how many islands you've got in your biggest chain and how many islands you've got presence on and things like that. So there's a couple of bits like that as well at the end, which get added onto your score.
I was just saying, yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'm wanting to. I've been having a little look on BGG, and I'm wanting to have a go as well now. Now I've got Through the Desert, which is another sort of network building. Connecting things together. I've got Babylonia as well, which is another Knizia design doing some of that. He really is a bit of a master of some of these tile laying games, isn't he?
Yeah. So we were talking about the theme earlier. The theme is sort of Polynesian, people sort of going out and exploring and settling on these islands. But again, could be anything. It could be samurai. It could be Wild West. It could be you're just putting tiles down on a board basically. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. So as compared to samurai, I think that's a little bit more complicated, a little bit heavier, kind of in the weight category because you've got more choice as to where you're placing your tiles and which ones you want to pick from your hand. Whereas this one, you can just kind of you're limited to sort of the tiles you've already placed, and you don't get a choice of what to place. It's just putting a token down. So it is
you can focus down on one area more.
Yeah, Blue Lagoon's maybe slightly simpler in that regard, but no less competitive. Again, it's one of those where you're playing the actual players on the other side and you're trying to race to get these tokens. You can cut people off. You can see, you can calculate, I'm going to get there first or he's going to get there first. So do you want to try something else, or do you want to try and race and maybe hope that he's not trying to fight on two fronts because you can only place one token down at a time. So it's it's a decision of where you're going to go on that. So yeah, a very similar game, but another twist on it. Again, really nice production, nice board, really clear, really nice pieces and everything.
Yeah, it looks nice.
But that's the other Knizia that I played this month, Blue Lagoon. I probably played more as well, but those two specifically. So yeah, Blue Lagoon, really good.
And so I'll balance out. So we've got two sort of really classic Euro, Knizias there. And I'm covering two more sort of modern Euro designs as well. Endeavour Deep Sea. I can't remember if you've played this one yet, right?
Yeah, we played it. Played it at your house. Yeah.
We played a lot of games that weekend. Yeah. And I just think it's such a lovely. Just one example of a great modern Euro. And it's one of the nicest things about this game is the theme. And this really is. I mean, this is not a pasted. It feels like this is the interesting thing when you hear the history of the game. It feels like it was designed with this theme always in mind. It feels so thematic.
It does, yeah.
But there's two previous versions of Endeavour that are a completely different game. So they produced a game which is about exploring the ocean, learning from the ocean. You take nothing from it but learning. It's about respecting nature. And they actually pioneered in producing the game, and this is Burnt Island Games. They pioneered in producing the game. They pioneered sort of plastic-free production and some new technologies for plastic-free productions in board games. So it's got a couple of different materials that have been used for the insert. and for the bags for it and so on. And I've only got the retail edition, and you really don't need the Kickstarter edition because the retail edition is so lovely in and
It's
of
really
itself.
nice.
And
Yeah.
it's gorgeous, isn't it? Gives you everything that you need. Really bright, vibrant, beautiful ocean tiles. So in the game, you sort of start off from a sort of a sea platform. You've got one sort of leader, and you start each round by recruiting a new person, sort of getting your income of action tokens, and then you sort of go on taking your actions, and you start off being able to just explore around, and you've got perhaps just 3 little starting tiles to move around on. But you can take sonar actions and get more tiles out on the board. You can go exploring around. You can do diving to sort of discover more research, and then you can use your research to do journaling or conservation actions on the different tiles. And you'll have different goals that you're working towards. It actually has a good cooperative mode as well as solo, which I've also played, and competitive. So it's quite interesting having played it in all 3 modes. It plays quite well across all 3, and it just keeps that same, I think, really thematic feel of going and exploring the ocean, looking to find new things. It is unashamedly a game where you are moving up tracks, getting better at certain things so that you can move up more tracks and get some chaining. And it's unashamedly that, but it's sort of, the theme is by no means just some pasted on theme. It really gives you a feel of what you're doing in the game.
Yeah, you say it's moving up tracks, but you do get you can hire people to go onto your boat that give you special abilities and like special actions that you can do. So there's What I liked about this one was the variety of things that you can do that'll earn you points. So you and Samuel were off sort of exploring the sea and getting deeper and deeper down to discover what were in the depths. I was quite happily pottering about on the surface doing the conservation, looking after the turtles. And we ended the game with like a few points between us. We weren't like miles apart or anything. So it's good that you got like different strategies and you can concentrate on different things. The characters that I picked up really helped on the conservation side, and I'm guessing the characters that you were using were more geared towards like the exploration and the getting deeper and things like that, leveling up your boat and things.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite a sandbox.
So it's good in that way. Yeah,
but it's also there's, I think, playing the game really well and really optimizing it is quite tricky. But one of the lovely things about it is you could take someone who's only played sort of Catan and Ticket to Ride and hasn't played a lot of board games, and it's so I think it's got really good iconography. It's got a really good flow to the rounds. It's really quite straightforward to teach. So I think you can actually take it to people who aren't used to sort of medium weight Euros even. And actually they could potentially have quite a good time playing with it. And it's quite hard to do terribly, I think. I'd say hard to do well, but hard to do terribly either.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it won the Spiel des Jahres, I think. Was it the Ken Spiel that it won?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, but yeah, obviously a lot of people really like it, and for all the reasons that you mentioned, yeah, the production's really nice. Yeah, it's very good. Okay, that's the only 2 games I've played this month. Any more that you've played that you want to talk about?
Well, yes. I guess I should sort of. I think perhaps we start segueing into the question of the week with. So as I say, Endeavour Deep Sea I played solo, and I think it's really excellent solo. Co-op, it's got a bit of an issue in that it's really hard, and actually they've already the expansion's already been on Kickstarter. Confession, I have backed the expansion, and that they've already actually released with they said they were surprised at how popular co-op was, and they've already released some updated rules to make the co-op a bit easier. Yeah, and I think it plays. It's one of the reasons I got it actually, and it plays really nice in all 3 modes. But the cooperative was just too hard in the base game, really? So they've already released some rules to sort of make it a bit more playable. But solo, really, really, really nice already, I think. And all the other games that I had to talk about are games that I've also at least played solo. Jump Drive is a great example of another little game that I've been playing. So I don't know if you know Jump Drive at all, but Race for the Galaxy is one of the absolute classic sort of modern board gamers, card games. I'm a huge fan of Roll for the Galaxy as well. I recently picked up New Frontiers, which is another version of the same system. a jump drive is really the simplest. And I overlooked it for quite a while because it's, oh well, that's just sort of simplified, pared down. But actually, it's a great game that plays really quickly. It's really interesting. It's a sort of points engine production game. You're just getting cards that are getting you more income of cards, or getting you an income of points, or getting you both, and they chain off one another. And it can play in 10 minutes. It's really quick, but actually, it's got a lovely solo mode as well, which I've also played recently, where you can do a mini campaign, and you can play a campaign game in the space of an hour with Jump Drive as a solo player, and that's a really interesting design. You get a sort of you select a campaign as sort of, I think it's 5 challenges that you have to complete. So it's winning with so many points, or winning without military, or winning while taking an explore, which is sort of the worst action to take on one of the rounds, where you don't actually play out any cards. So that's just something I've enjoyed that I'd overlooked previously, because it's a sort of a lighter, quicker game that is simplifying an existing game that I already knew and liked. But actually, I think that's worth looking at.
So that particular one, does the solo mode? I don't think it comes in the box, does it, or is it like a separate thing you can download from somewhere?
And I sort of lucked into this because I wasn't buying the game to play solo, but I bought it with the expansion, and I'm trying to think what the expansion is called, the first expansion to it, and that has the solo mode in it.
Oh, okay.
That added sort of a couple of things to the game.
Velocity?
Terminal Velocity, that's the one, yeah. And I think that might have been one actually for where the community had sort of been developing solo stuff for it as well, and then they formalized it into an expansion.
Interesting.
But really, really nice.
That does tend to happen, doesn't it? If a game doesn't ship with a solo mode in the box, quite often there'll be one that you can download either from BGG or some other.
It's something which has I think really grown in recent years, hasn't it? And,
definitely. Yeah,
it's an interesting challenge.
Since the past, like, what is it, 3 or 4 years since COVID hit and people were sort of stuck at home. Especially prompted
necessitated
people
it
to invest in that. Yeah, and I know some Kickstarters, like some people who just won't back them if they don't have a solo mode. It's one of the big selling points, is it, for a lot of the bigger games.
And it is something I would think about myself now, which is a big sort of recent change for me. But I think it's an interesting challenge as well for people like myself who sort of have dabbled in bits of designing games and still are. It's quite an interesting challenge to take an existing game and work out how you would add a solo mode to it. And obviously a lot of people like doing that, I suspect, because they want to play it solo, but perhaps also just for the challenge of being able to sort of solve that problem.
Yeah. Do you play any like games that are specifically just designed for one player? These are kind of games with a solo player mode. Have you tried any of the ones that are just single player?
Yeah, yes and no. So I actually just bought my very first solo only game this week, but I haven't played it yet, which is I don't know how to say it, but it's Clinic, but with a number 9 in.
Right. Okay.
And this is by Alban Viard, who has designed the full game Clinic, which is a big hefty Euro, which I've now got 5 expansions for, and also played in the last month, and also played solo, in fact, in the last month. Really excellent game, one of my favorites. And I work in sort of healthcare management, and it's for some reason it's a busman's holiday, but for some reason great fun.
Yeah.
But this is a little sort of small box game, not quite a wallet game, but a really small box game that you could sort of fit in a jacket pocket and take to a cafe and play solo, and that's what it's designed for.
Right.
For games of that type, it's I think quite heavy and quite a tricky one to learn. So I've not learned it yet. As I say, it just arrived this week, but that is my first ever purchase of a game just to play solo.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, because we mentioned cooperative games earlier. A lot of cooperative games you can play just play solo, can't you? Because you just either do it two-handed, or sometimes you can just play as a one player even and just do it that way.
Yeah, they probably quite naturally, you don't need a lot of rules changes often to go from co-op to solo, do you?
Yeah. What about competitive games? So like a game, where you're competing against another player. Sometimes you can play that two-handed as well. sort of trying to do your best and maybe trying different strategies with a different player? You ever tried that?
Not really. No, actually, there's I'm designing an 18XX game. That's a sort of heavy economic train themed game based in the 1800s, called 18 Channel Tunnel, and that's one where, as part of the design process, I have played it three-handed, making lots of notes as I went over the course of about 2 days. And that was a grueling experience,
Right.
trying to think through all the different strategic options as part of the design process there.
Yeah.
I've played some other sort of shorter games I've worked on design for, where I've done it sort of out of the necessity of designing it and trying to think through the different options and the things that different players might do. But I can't say I've ever done it for the fun of it myself.
Yeah.
I think I might do it to learn a game, but I don't think I would do it for sort of, for enjoyment.
Yeah, you've brought up a good point there. Perhaps with a competitive game, you've got to sort of handle two lots of player items, so it doubles your kind of load of what you're trying to do for the game, doesn't it? So sometimes you might get lost or forget to do something, and then it's quite hard to rewind and, if you did something wrong, to put that back as it was, kind of thing.
Yeah, and having to do something which, if you're playing as the left and the right hand, and you have to make a choice which is going to benefit one or the other, it becomes a bit strange. Yeah.
Well, what about apps on a computer or on a tablet? A lot of those have computer opponents that you can play against. So I know there's stuff like Board Game Arena where you can sort of play against other people, but quite often if you download the app or if you've got like the actual, there's a program for it like on Steam or something, then a lot of them come with computer competitors. So I've spoken over the past couple of episodes about Root that I've played a couple of times on the app, and that's got computer opponents that you can play against, and also Wingspan. Tried any of those, have you?
I've played them both as games, but I certainly haven't played them on the apps. I play on I play on Board Game Arena and I play on 18xx.games online, and I've usually got something like somewhere in the realm of 20 to 40 multiplayer games on the go on those websites. And I don't play things solo, but historically the game that I have played a huge amount on the app was Star Realms.
Oh yeah.
And I've played 3 figures worth of games of that face to face, with the cards.
Yeah.
But I've played 4 figures worth of games on the app against other, against human opponents. But I've also played through all the sort of the solo campaign on there as well.
Right. That's a fairly quick game that you can rattle out a few games, can't you, in your lunch break or whatever. It's that fast.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I find that with the 7 Wonders app. I've got 7 Wonders on my phone, and it takes like 10 minutes to play a 3-player game.
I'll say on my lunch break today, I played Cafe, which is a lovely quick game. So it's listed as being by Roller Coaster, which is someone Costa and Roland someone who titled themselves that Art by Marina Costa, and it's by Pythagoras Games. And this is just a lovely little game. And I played it solo with the actual game box, went and sat at my table and ate my lunch and played that for 20 minutes, and that was great.
Right. Yeah.
But a friend of mine, Alex, also plays that solo on Board Game Arena, because, as you say, you can go on there and play games solo a lot of the time.
So a lot of these games have, like with the solo mode, they have like an end condition, like a win condition or a lose condition. Some of them have like a point score, so you're just trying to get some points, and then there's kind of a table at the end, and you can kind of rank yourself as to how many points that you score. Do you have like a preference of what your goal is for this solo game, or do you want it to be as close to the competitive game as possible, or are you happy to sort of just try and get points and then see how you fall on the table?
This is interesting, and so it's only recently that I've started soloing, and I'm not quite sure what's clicked in my head to start soloing, but it's interested me because I sort of went in with an assumption of, well, trying to beat your own score, that's okay, but surely it's more interesting to play against a bot. And I'm not sure so far, actually, because some of the sort of beat your own score ones, I think, are the ones that I have been drawn back to, and Cafe is an example of that. It's a quick little engine building game. You just draft cards to make your engine to be producing and shipping coffee. really, really simple design, and it's just beat your own score. And you can go on the sort of the forums. The designer has given a sort of an indication of what might be a decent score and what might be the best possible score. Yeah, and actually, I quite enjoy that. While as with bots, I'm finding mixed feelings when it comes to trying to beat a bot about how I sort of feel about that challenge.
Right.
When you're trying to beat your own score, most games have got some randomness in.
Yeah.
And if you don't do quite as well, but you go, well, like the cards weren't as kind to me that time. I didn't get so many good chances. That's okay. But playing against a bot and losing randomly to a bot because it gets a really good card draw at the end or something, or just draws the exact action that you need it not to take, that's not a huge amount of fun. Well, as with a human opponent, when they take an action, they do it for a logical reason, and that means that you could use a bit of insight, a bit of thinking about their position to work out maybe what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And if they do take an action that really screws you over, they're probably doing that for a reason. It might be on purpose. A bot just flipping a card and randomly doing the one thing you need it not to do, I find can be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. This might be a little bit off topic, but I've got a chess computer. So it's only a really cheap one. These little plastic boards with like a thingy built in, and you can play chess against the computer. I know these days you can play on your phone or whatever and just have it on there, but there's something tactile about having the actual board in front of you and having to physically move the pieces. Do you think that's part of the solo experience, is actually having the physical pieces in front of you with a deck of cards and some tokens and whatever else you need for the game? Is that part of the experience that you enjoy?
And I said I do play online against human components. I don't play on any apps these days. But part of that for me, I spend 8 hours a day at work staring at a screen. I work from home. It's home-based. What do I do in the evening? Well, I can watch TV, or I can play computer games, or I'm on my phone browsing, whatever website. So I spend my entire life staring at a screen, basically.
Yeah.
And board games are a chance to disconnect from all of that and actually just have some time in your physical space with some lovely physical components. And to me, that's great, and that's always going to be the best. You can fit in games on Board Game Arena while you're making a cup of tea or going to the toilet or just about everything else. But I would definitely rather have the physical components.
Yeah.
I don't play chess, but I do play, not very much at the moment, but I do play Go.
All right. Yeah.
I'm in a game of that online, which is the sort of the other and even older abstract game. And certainly, I have played on apps and on websites against computer opponents there, which is fairly brutal. Because there are AI there now that can beat the best players in the world very reliably. So as a sort of mere, I'm not quite a beginner, but not much better than that at Go. It's really brutal playing against the AI sometimes.
I know some chess games as well. I've seen some online where if you make a move, it tells you whether that was the optimal move or whether that was a bad move.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar sort of thing in Go where you make a move and the computer sort of assesses it and tells you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can play a game against a human component, and then the computer will go back through and it'll show at every point in the game whether white or black had the higher percentage of winning, and it'll show what the optimal move would have been. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good learning tool. It's good for learning, isn't it? And sort of picking up.
It's a good way to make you feel stupid really quickly. Yeah,
that's true. There's that as well. So talking about the components then and getting the game out, I did have a bit of an experiment. I've got Tapestry, and that's got a solo mode in it, but that's quite a big game with a lot of components and a lot of pieces. It takes like half an hour to set up and put everything out, and then obviously it takes 90 minutes or whatever to play the game. And by the time I was halfway through the game, I was ready for going to bed. It was too late. Is there any games that sort of would that kind of put you off at all if there was a lot of setup and a lot of sort of stuff to put out before you started playing?
I don't know if
sort of bigger games and the more the heavier games with lots of
I
stuff
mean,
in there.
it's certainly, I mentioned Sankore, and it's certainly a thought, with Sankore has a lot of setup, and the setup is a bit of a bear. And as I say, it hasn't put me off altogether. Similarly, I've got a lot of Vitalicerda's games, big box games, right? And they're known for being generally solo, having really good solo modes. Again, I look at them, I go, yeah, it's a lot to take on when it's just you and you're not going through that experience and enjoying that with someone else. So that has perhaps put me off a little bit. And the heavier one that I have been playing, though, played a few times now, is Woodcraft. And actually, partly as a result of that, what I did one evening last week was I did some Woodcraft for the first time in many. I glued together a wooden insert for the game to make it a bit easier to set up.
For Woodcraft?
Yeah, it felt very thematic to be gluing together the wooden insert for a game in which you have to glue together bits of wood thematically to play the game. So that was quite ironic. A lovely game. It's by Delicious Games, Ross Arnold and Vladimir Succi. There's there's a really nice blog about it on Board Game Geek by Ross Arnold, talking about his experience as a more novice designer working with Vladimir Succi on it, and the sort of the process of designing the game. But it's a game where you are running a sort of a wood shop in a magical world, creating things, crafting things out of wood, and you're taking contracts and sort of building a little engine to get the right bits of wood together to meet those contracts. And the wood is represented by different coloured dice. You can chop a piece of wood up, and you can chop a 5 into a 3 and a 2, and you can glue bits of wood together, things like that. So it's a really clever design, but it runs off a central rondelle. And the bot, this is one where the bot will move certain things around the rondelle on its turn, and it can have you really happy that it's helped you out, or really hanging your head and cursing at the bot for flipping that particular card at that particular time. Yeah, but a really good solo game.
Any other games that you've been playing solo?
Well, I'll tell you one that I wouldn't recommend, and that's because of the just the brutality of the bot, which is Shinkansen 0K. It's a really nice little design based on 1960s Japan and sort of the first high-speed rail there. This is by Ira C. and Shay S. and put out by Ludonova Games a few years ago now, but still a fairly recent game. And you need to sort of excavate in a city, build a station, and then lay track. And you're taking cards each turn, which will score for a certain city at the end of the game. If the city doesn't have track, you get negative points. If it has track but no station, you get no points. And if it has a station, then you'll get 1, 3, or 6 points depending on the color of the station that it got. And you're putting out these stations as you go. So your end game score is really dependent on the cards that you take, and whether or not you then sort of manage to complete building the track for those cities listed on those cards. And in the solo mode, the 3 cards come out each round. The bot will take the first one, and if you don't take the bot will take the middle one. And if the bot goes first, if you let the bot be first, then it will always take the middle one. And if the card you need is the middle one that comes out, there's no hope for you. But it's a really interesting little design. But just the randomness of playing against that bot, I have found quite infuriating. And I lost quite badly playing it actually last night. I just thought that if the cards had come off the deck in a different order, I'd have done really well. And while it's with a human opponent, at least the choice that they make as to which card they take, there's going to be a reason for it.
I think, it must be quite difficult to sort of get that balance right, because you want a solo mode to be sort of challenging and not kind of a walkover. But again, on the other hand, you don't want the bot to kind of crush the player every time you play, and to make it really that difficult that it's not fun anymore. So it must be quite a difficult balancing act to try and get that sweet spot.
And I guess I wouldn't mind with that game that it being quite hard to achieve if it felt like you had more control over how to get them. That's one where the randomness, but particularly the randomness that the bot introduces to the game. I think for me, I haven't yet played that game multiplayer, but I suspect I would significantly prefer that one multiplayer.
And I guess some games just don't lend themselves to solo modes. So, like we were talking about the area control ones where you need a couple of players, like the samurai and stuff like that, they just wouldn't work, would they? Auction games, things like that.
Yeah, economic games all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Any other games you want to chat about, or?
Well, I've covered quite a lot, but I'll just mention Clinic actually, and I mentioned the little game earlier, but the full game Clinic, so Clinic Deluxe Edition, which I have, Alban Viard, and he puts he publishes his own games, so it's put out by himself. Right. I can't think what he calls his company. Handy to be a successful enough designer to be able to do that. He's got some great games. I think this is possibly his best. But the solo mode there, I'll just say, and this is a beat your own score mode.
Right.
But I quite like it. And so it's got the sort of 6 ranks of score you can get, and it gives you sort of different I played it solo once. I didn't quite make CEO, but I got the one below that, which I think was medical director or something like that.
Right.
But it's not just beat your own score. There's also I think there's half a dozen different goals you can select before you play.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have to win at all, you have to achieve that goal. And they're not listed by difficulty, but I picked quite an easy one for my first solo game. Clearly some of them would be quite a bit harder to achieve. Right. And so you're going through the game not just trying to maximize your score, but also thinking you have to do that particular thing, or your score doesn't even count for anything. So that was quite an interesting little twist on the beat your own score approach that I thought was quite good.
Yeah, you kind of want that bit of variety as well, don't you? So that it's not going to be the same every time. Gives that kind of life to the game to make it last a bit longer.
And that is the sort of the problem with solo gaming, is if the variety isn't coming from the other players, you do need a game which naturally is able to bring in variety in various different ways. I mentioned Cafe is a lovely little engine building game where you're sort of producing coffee and drying the coffee, roasting the coffee, and then shipping the coffee either to your warehouse or to different cafes around the world. And that's a really nice. I've been really enjoying that solo. As I say, you can play it within half an hour easily. I can see, the cards come up different each time. You can start with a slightly different starting card, but replayability is something that would, I think, become an issue eventually. But there is a little expansion for it that I think I'll have to get hold of. That adds a bit more variability. I think adds some sort of player powers, as it were, to play with. So you can play with some slightly different powers each time, which would be, I think, good for just adding that replayability over time.
Okay. Any more?
Oh, well, look, I've played lots of games. Too many. I mentioned I've been playing quite a lot of family games recently as well. So one I'll mention is Bites, and Bites is a lovely little game. It's put out actually by BoardGameTables.com. They publish a few games of their own.
All right, yeah.
I presume the people who sort of run that company, so Anke Gavriel and Philip Gavriel as artists, and Brigitte Ditt and Wolfgang Ditt as the designers of this game. It's a lovely game that I've played with sort of my 6-year-olds, with teenage nieces, with heavy board gamers in between Lacerda games at conventions, and so it can really be played and enjoyed by anyone. Again, plays in about 20 minutes, and you are moving ants along a track of food and picking up bits of food as you go, and depending on which ant gets to the anthill at the end first depends on how much each different type of food is worth. So if the yellow ant gets there first, then cheese might be worth the most, but the rules change each time you play. So you put out a card that says actually it's the last ant that gets there that's worth the most. So it's kind of a stock management investment game in the simplest way possible that a 6-year-old can play, which that's one example of, I think, a lovely little family game that can also be played with sort of heavy board gamers and most people probably won't be aware of.
The production on this is really nice. The pieces themselves, the tokens, are just cardboard tokens, but they're like dual layered, aren't they? And they're like in the shapes of the food that the ants are going after.
I mean, and the lovely thing about those tokens is, they really appeal to a 6-year-old for being these sort of lovely tactile pieces. And then you see a sort of a 60-year-old playing the game, and they appeal just as much for being such lovely tactile pieces.
Yeah, and the thing at the end, the ant hill that they're all on, it's kind of like a layered kind of stack, isn't it? Where you put the ants on at the end. Yeah, it's really I played this one in a Sunday session once. I think somebody brought it in, and we had a good time with it. Like you say, super quick. It's like 20 minutes to play.
You can play it in the time it would take to decide what game you're going to play next.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that's a good one. Yeah.
Another little one that I've played just in the last week while in a little holiday cabin was Hey, That's My Fish. Now, a lot of people will have heard of this, I'm sure. So, that's, it's by Aloydus Jacquelianus. I'm obviously murdering their name, and Gunter Cornet. That's Fantasy Flight Games. It's just, it's such a wonderful game in that you are moving little penguins around, plastic penguins, and picking up hexagons with fish on. Yeah, so it's a lovely sort of family-friendly, can play it with young gamers, but actually it's a complete knife fight in a phone box situation. It's basically an abstract game where you are just trying to cut people off and make space for yourself by moving these penguins around, picking up the sort of the fish off the ice floes and leaving other people stranded. And so it's a wonderful like contrast of lovely friendly art, and you can play it with young players, but it's actually a really brutal game that's playing well is really quite complex.
I played this when I first started coming to the club. I played it in 2014. I'm just looking at the players now, and I can still remember getting cut off and ended up on my own little ice floe. Somebody who took the last piece, and it's one of those games where you think, oh yeah, it's really nice. It's like a little, go around, pick up some fish, get some points, blah blah blah, and then suddenly, you're on your own little ice floe, and everybody else is picking up points, and you're left stranded. Yeah, it's really, it's a good little abstract game. Yeah, quite an old one, isn't it? It's quite 2003, but still, still being played, still in print, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. That's another really quick one as well, isn't it? Like 20 minutes to play. So
absolutely.
When that inevitable thing does happen where somebody gets cut off and it's the end of the game, you just set it all up and play it again.
That's it, and that's often what happens when we play it with the little one as well. They have to just play again rather than get too upset about what happened that time.
Yeah.
That must be enough games for me by now, Rick.
That is quite a few, But like I say,
it's going to be a bumper episode otherwise.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, thanks for coming on then, Sam. It's been good talking to you. Thanks for telling us about everything. Yeah, all the games you've played recently. Other than that, we'll see you on the next episode. So goodbye for now.
Goodbye.